Now, I may have bitten off more than I can chew trying to do reviews on this thing. Legion Season 2. I have not talked about Legion on this channel before. It's because I basically saw the first season a bit after it aired, as I eventually got around to cleaning out my DVR. And I liked it quite a bit. It really, the show as a whole really threads a needle very finely, because it's really hard with me to pull off a narrative where I can't really adequately explain what happened or what's going on, yet it still engages me and doesn't frustrate me. I think the key to it, or at least the key to it working in Legion, is to just have the right amount of clear points. So in the case of, I mean, just to start talking about season 2, and I'm just gonna say right now, spoilers insofar as I understand what is going on, because it's Legion, but I understand enough to know, I mean, everything that I saw last season, which again, I kind of understand, but there's a couple of pillars that I can come on to. I know that these characters are aligned together. I know that these characters are, you know, connected to each other. I know that David and the rest of the people that he historically has been friends with have a goal of trying to capture the Shadow King, and I know that is what they are after, and I know that most of what they do is in the pursuit of that goal. So even if you show me a depiction of something where I'm watching what's happening and I'm not entirely sure what it means, I at least know their goals and the reasoning behind why they're attempting the things that they're attempting. So I can't truly explain to you, like, say, the dance sequence in this episode, in this premiere episode of the second season, but I still like it because it brings across the sense of conflict between the three characters who are involved in it. Even though I don't really know what it means, it still feels consistent with as much as I know about this show. I get the feeling that this season is going to be even more unrestrained than the first season was. In that way, I think it has the potential to kind of mirror the progression of, say, Hannibal, where the first season of Hannibal was the most grounded one because it had sort of the most procedural aspects in it. It was a bonkers show even off the bat, but it felt like it had to keep a foot in the more standard procedural elements so that, you know, it could kind of get people in. And then the second season, once it had them, then it just started going nuts. And I suspect doing what it kind of wanted to do from the beginning, but I knew if it started in that way, nobody would stick around. I am getting that same vibe off of Legion. This really is going in whole hog. This is very much, if you didn't see the first season, don't bother. There's not really a recap. It really does assume you have a sense of what's going on. It doesn't really explain the characters and their relationships. You need to know how this is not a jumping on point at all. So cast is all back, and it's a good cast. I like this cast. I like these characters. I love Aubrey Plaza in this show. It's funny because I never got around to getting into Parks and Rec. I've seen like a couple sporadic episodes and she's fine in that, but I don't know her from that, which seems to be the big thing a lot of people really love her from, and I just don't really know her from that. I know her from this, and I love her in this. So she's the highlight for me. She was basically since about the midpoint of the first season, when the whole twist of exactly who and what she was came through. Everyone else is doing pretty well. If I'm being completely honest, I do feel like the lead character of David himself, I don't want to say he's a weak link, because I don't think he's necessarily a problem with the show. He's one of the less compelling characters. He's one of the ones who's harder to get a handle on in terms of trying to relate to him. To a certain extent, that might be by design, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure there was a way around it, because this is a guy who cannot trust what he's seeing, and who, you know, he can try and relay his experiences, but how much of what he is seeing or feeling or thinking is even his own, and anything that he is perceiving can be said to be real in any degree, much less it's more of an astral thing or a real thing, is very iffy. And I think it's really hard to embody a character like that with a very clear and distinct personality. So I think narratively he works, but he is comparatively a little bit of a bland lead. And Dan Stevens does well enough, but he tends to engage me more when he's really unsettled. So like basically the breakdown episodes of the first season were the ones that really got me. Here he seems to be rolling with it a bit more, and when David's rolling with what's going on, I find him to be his least interesting. Visually, this show's gorgeous. It was gorgeous last time, and it's shot so... It's just so trippy. It's so, like, this is not a show that you can watch while messing around on your phone and doing other stuff, because if you're just mainly just taking in the dialogue, you're not going to get what's going on, and you need to be seeing this stuff. Not only for the insanity, but so much of the storytelling is visual, and especially in that it is communicating in terms of mood, vibes, general feels, and the specific information. It feels like there isn't a ton of it communicated, because the show at this point has established so much the idea of how much you can or can't trust what you're seeing, because it's being filtered through David, who is a little bit unhinged. And so with all that in mind, you know, you're seeing all this stuff, but you don't know how concrete it is. You don't know if what you're seeing is what's going on, and even if it isn't, maybe it means something, but you're not sure what it is. And like I said, like at the start of this review, that is really tough to balance and not have it come off as either annoyingly confusing, stupidly obtuse, or just pretentious. And this show is not any of those things. I really do enjoy this show. And it's, as much as I have now just rambled on for a while about the show in general, and a bit about this second season premiere in particular, I have a hard time explaining what's good about this show. I mean, the best I can do is, like, if I know somebody in person, I can kind of go like, given what you told me you like, or what I know you like, you could get into Legion. Or conversely, I think you're gonna have a hard time getting into that one. Like, I can kind of intuit that, but to try and explain to someone like YouTube subscribers whether or not it's something that you'll enjoy is really hard, because you really got to be able to zoom into a pretty specific wavelength. But if you can, I've never seen anything else like this on television, and I'm really, really glad it's back. The wildness, the trippiness of it, the abstractness, and yet at the same time feeling like it is telling a clear story, even if it's not being particularly clear about it. I'm really happy this show is back, because it's nuts, and it's the best kind of nuts. So, premiere episode for Legion Season 2. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Do all that stuff, such as like and subscribe and buy a t-shirt, support me on Patreon, whatever you feel like doing. Links for all that stuff and more is down in the description. So until next time, this council is adjourned.